So I'm playing Dark Souls on my PS4. I mean Demon Souls on my PS5. I'm not going to be able to get it. Hello and welcome. My name is Alex Gonzalez, and with me today is my good old friend, J.E.
Hey, that's me.
And please remember that we are not game devs. How are you doing today, Jay?
I'm doing all right, Alex. I don't know. How are you doing today?
I feel like the way you said that, I'm not like at a base level good. I'd say I'm okay. I'm okay. I exercised this morning and I'm feeling pretty all right. I'm in a weird in-between zone where I want to know, like, I thought October 12th was when Pokemon Frozen Tundra came out, but it's October 22nd. And then November 12th is the PS5. And all my joy is tied up in the future right now.
Right.
But those are not the feelings that we were talking about today. Today we are creating something new. Every week, We Are Not Game Devs will create a new, exciting video game idea that we have always wanted to play, but do not have any knowledge or know how to create the wonderful experience that is video games. And today is my turn to present We Are Not Game Devs 126 IP, and we're going to begin with this basic concept. And
Cora's
the
excited.
concept, yep. Hey. So the concept I wanted to come up with was I wanted to do a beat 'em up game, a side-scrolling beat 'em up game. Now, I wanted this game to have a bunch of different upgrades. And what I wanted it to be was it's a person and you're walking your dog and you have to avoid traffic. You have to avoid other dog walkers. You have to avoid homeless people that are mentally ill. They're a danger. I'm sorry. They are sometimes. You have to avoid, there's going to be different people you have to beat up while traveling with your dog. And there's also going to be traps. These traps are going to be broken glass. These traps are going to be chicken bones that your dog might choke on. Now the dog helps, but could hinder depending on these traps and stuff and these hazards. I think it would be pretty cool. I want there to be combo attacks that you can do. I want there to be, I said upgrades before, but I want there to be cool upgrades, different random upgrades. I want there to be a wide range of enemy characters. I could see maybe and I can base this off real life. They say make what you know. So I'll tell you, snakes in bushes, cats in trees, bats. I've run into bats. I've walked by a church and then they almost welcomed me in and I had to just keep walking. What else? Dude asked for my cell phone. That's bad news too. What do you think about this?
Okay.
And I'm getting heavy inspiration from like the old arcade cabinets where it was a side-scrolling beat 'em ups. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I understand. However, what if we get a little crazy with it?
What's crazy look like to you?
Pretty crazy. In my head, let's talk about graphics first of all. The way I see this game looking is kind of like, how do I explain this without like saying a bunch of video games? Because I could say a bunch of video games right now and like
use your words. Descriptors.
So the characters are, let's say, made out of like felt material looking thing, and they look like just like made felt objects,
So,
but then the background
felt
is
and
like
yarn.
not entirely. Like sometimes like the water would be like real water looking stuff. The grass would be like grass, but sidewalks would be paper. Like just
Okay.
kind of like a weird mix match of reality looking objects to make like an abstract looking art style. And in terms of power-ups, I could see this art style then lending to like just crazy color effects. Like barking could have like a actual visual sound wave looking thing.
And like you're saying right there, I like that idea. Different power ups like that. And then we can have felt where the upgrades just sit right on top, almost like there's different layers. You know what I'm saying? So, for instance, what I was thinking was for the dog, maybe one upgrade is a spiked collar. So when it takes damage, it also does damage back. Or
Mm.
booties. So when it walks with its boots, it actually takes less damage from hazards and none from ground hazards.
So you
And those
think,
boots could just be felted back on. You know what I'm talking about? Like just on top?
yeah. So do you think your dog will have like equipment that you're collecting in this game then? Like monsters
Like
will.
I think upgrades and stuff.
How about kind of like, oh, okay. I think I see what you mean. So like it's kind of like Super Mario where there's like power-ups hidden in the level, and when you pick it up, like the
Yes.
booties, you put those on and it gives you a power and a buff.
Yes.
Like the booties could make you run super fast or something, but also you could like run over hazardous ground,
Mm-hmm.
like glass on the floor. What is the
Yeah, I like
human
it.
doing? Is the human just there to control the dog?
Yeah, the human's walking along. I think the dog is going to be the autonomous part where it's going to be controlled mostly by AI unless you have a second player.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah, why not? Let him play as a dog. It'll be like we're going to make it old school. You know, where you're like the second player doesn't have all the privileges of the first player and probably isn't as fun.
Wait, so the dog shooting and all that is all automated, and you just control the human around? I assume we're controlling the dog, and the human is just walking around behind us.
Now we're getting into an interesting zone because when you said that, my mind went to, well, what if we do make the human AI, but that means if we rush too far and pull the human with the leash, the human will want to pull back and bring you back in line.
Okay.
So then you have to be aware of the leash while also doing beat 'em ups and aware of where the human goes. Because you could also, for instance, if you try crossing the road and your human's not so fast and it gets run over by a car, that's game over, isn't it?
This is just a random tidbit. What if as interstitials? So you have this crazy, colorful, explosive,
Wait,
partially
before you go into it, for me and the audience at large, what does interstitial mean?
like between scenes.
Okay, thank you.
Like kind of like I think like something's leading up to a big moment, and then they cut to like a flashback to show why this is important, and then they go back to that current time.
Okay,
You know
all
what I'm
right,
saying? That's
got
not
it. Yeah.
exactly what it means, but that's the best way to describe it to you. So interstitial between chapters, after these crazy, colorful, partially realistic graphics, partially like felt and weird looking. There's like cutscenes that tell a story of, and it's in first person, but it just looks like general cartoon art, and it's the human and the dog, and so it's like whenever you go out on these walks, this is the experience the dog is having, this crazy, colorful, explosive world.
I like it. I like it. And maybe this is why it's so creative and why the world's so different and off is because you are seeing things through the dog's perspective. I like it.
Exactly.
And also, maybe some power ups will be for people who give you good pets.
Like there's
Now,
like people that aren't enemies in the field that like if you go up to them, they'll give you a buff or power up or something.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'm liking where this is going. Now, I'm wrestling with the idea of food on the map because I would like there to be a bunch of different food, but you don't get to control whether you eat it or not because you're a fucking dog. So you're eating it every time. So what I was thinking was there was going to be good food, bad food, and neutral food. And no matter what, if you pass over it or you're in range, you're gonna eat it. So you have to be careful to avoid it as well.
Okay. And how about we make this, and I know this is referencing a game to reference this, but The Binding of Isaac, where
So it's like a roguelike where you're dying a bunch and then come back.
no, I think there is like replayability to this because I think this is just like a random factor that you add to the levels. Like there's food that's on the map, and each time they do the same effect, but we don't really tell you what it does, but the food's random and the food is just scattered throughout the map that you're about to do.
Oh, I see. Yeah, with different power ups. Okay, I like
Or
that.
like nerfs, like they make you worse. Like one will make you like slow down, or one will make you like kind of sick. You know what I mean?
I like it. So
And
let's nail down. Oh, go ahead. Go
oh
ahead.
no, that's pretty much it. It's
Okay,
just there's gonna be some that make you sick and some that like buff you and like give you crazier power ups or like something along those lines.
cool. Now, I want to nail down the dog's powers. It feels like this game to me, as it is right now, is like something slippery where it keeps slipping out of my hands and I keep grabbing it and I can't hold it on too tight. Now, the dog's moves, I like the bark you talked about. So we'll do a bark that's a ranged move. Almost like you would think of a shotgun, like a spread, right?
Yeah.
And you can and we'll do it different ways where maybe the bark turns into a howl where it's more long range, or it turns into a growl which has a fear effect. So there'll be different power-ups that way that'll replace the bark, right? That'd be cool.
Hmm.
I'm thinking another one will be another move will be digging. You can dig and sometimes unlock secret passages, sometimes dig and find power ups. And the way that'll be done is by different markers on the map. I'm thinking maybe like little stink lines. Maybe you see partially something dug up and then you can dig there. And then on top of that, I want there to be, I guess, the last power. Well, there'd be two. There's going to be one, which is a bite. You're going to have a bite. That way it's a close range attack. And then the last one would be some kind of lunge. But you have to be, and the lunge would be almost like a dash.
Okay. I also want there to be, and this is more of like a way to heal or like get like invulnerability maybe, and it comes up on the map. Like let's say you walk by and there's like a fire hydrant. You could mark your territory and you go over there and then you do a little tss, and then like it heals you or like it gives you like a defense buff or something like that.
I like it. Okay. So there will be marking your territory too that we'll add in. And what I think that'll do also is if you mark your territory on the subsequent run you do of playing, like let's say you die and you come back, I want there to be, and you're gonna have to help me work out with this. I want there to be some notion that you know that you marked your territory. You know how when you're walking your dog and they know where they've marked before with like, oh, they sniff and they're like, oh no, that's me. Okay, let's keep going. No, I've got this.
Let's just
I want
have
there.
it anywhere where that you've marked it in this crazy art style. There's just like shining beacons of light around like that fire
Okay, I
hydrant
like that.
or like a tree or like uh
I can even imagine
power
like
box.
angelic singing
Yeah.
as you're approaching it, like, ah, ah, and then it's like beacon found as you're going through.
So in that sense, do you think that this will have like a always online aspect to it? Where
I don't want it to be always online, but I think it would be cool if maybe upon playing it updated the levels based on what your friends did. Because always online is kind of a pain in the ass, especially for a side scroller. And I feel like the audience that would like a side scroller too would want to play offline.
yeah. Well, do you think this is going to be just purely a story, play it one through type of deal? Or do you think this is going to be an arcadey? There is a story mission, but then after that, people are going to be replaying like random generated levels.
I think they're going to be replaying the game to see what kind of power ups and stuff are there
Okay.
as well.
So it's going to be more like than I would say you're just replaying the level over and over again to get like chase a high score type of thing.
Yeah, and see what kind of other power ups are available. Now, here's another question for you. Do you want there to be the same dog every time? Or we can do 3 archetypes, which will have different skins on them. For instance, large dog, medium dog, small dog. And then on top of that, we can add a bunch of different sprites like German Shepherd, Bernese Mountain Dog, Labrador Retriever for large dogs. For small dogs, you can have Maltipoos, Pomeranians, Chihuahuas.
I'll do you even better. Do you remember how it's like some of these old school like side-scrolling beat 'em up games, how they would at the end it would kind of have like a Super Smash Bros. Moment where you unlock a new playable character, and then they have a whole new
Oh,
different move set, upgrades, and all that, and you beat it with like a certain high score, you unlock another new playable character, and then maybe
I
like
like that.
if you beat the game with all the characters with like certain scores on each one, you unlock the last like
And this is how we're going to do it. There's going to be a cool, awesome ending scene. And then you're going to see another dog on its walk. And you guys are going to sniff each other's butts. And then that's when it'll unlock the next dog.
oh, okay, yeah,
And
yeah. And
yeah.
then for each dog that you play, the owner that's just I want the owner just flailing around until like you go too far and then it like gets stern and then it like pulls you back or whatever, or like you
Yeah,
do
he's
something
like a
bad.
complete dum dum where it almost seems like because you're in the dog's world and looking through the dog's eyes, the owner just doesn't make any sense
Yeah,
most of the
yeah.
time.
And I want for each different dog, whenever you get a different playable dog, the owner also looks completely different each time.
Yeah, I like that.
And like
This
for
is
one of the biggest dogs, it could be like a tiny little girl.
yeah, most definitely. This is turning out way better than I had previously anticipated. All right. So we have the art down. We have what the gameplay is going to be. What type of music are we having for dogs? Or are we going to have what I want to is these dogs are going to have names.
Yeah.
So they're going to now, do you want there to be different music for different dogs so that way they have different personalities?
Yeah, sure. Each dog could have their own little theme to them. And then like it's just an overall like maybe how the music will work in the game is each map, quote unquote, like each backdrop and like environment or whatever will have its own music. And then there would be like a ending song that's like congratulations, you beat the level, and it shows the dog doing something cute or whatever. And then that's like there would be like a theme that plays as you beat the level as specific dogs. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Now, yeah, I do. And what's pretty cool about this is the skies are limitless. Now I'm starting to think if you eat too much food, you'll have to poop. And if you poop, your owner has to pick it up. And when that's happening, you have to defend your owner while he's picking up the poop.
Yeah. And I think food, you could avoid it altogether too. Like you could do a no food
Mm-hmm.
run or whatever. And there could be like maybe a point bonus for that. And maybe if you do the entire story, like story mode, like how fighting games have a story mode, you know what I mean? Every time you beat
Yeah.
a story mode with a certain dog, and if you do like the no food run, like you didn't pick up any food, that you unlock like a hidden secret dog that you only unlock if you did a no food run. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like
yeah.
unlocking new dogs would be like challenges like that like maybe there's like a
I like it.
challenges screen and it'll tell you like a vague thing of what you have to do to unlock that dog, and then you do it and then you unlock that dog.
And of course, I want these dogs to have slightly different characteristics when you're playing them. Nothing too crazy, but I would want them to either be a little bit faster,
Yeah.
bark a little bit
Oh, I
louder.
thought you meant like more like personality characteristics. Like obviously the poodle is like French and like
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And what would be great is if you're going through these environments and depending on the dog, they see different things.
Mm, mm-hmm. Well, I think the story mission or whatever you're doing is you're walking the same path, but
Yeah.
yeah, like the dogs, what they see, so the art style is going to be different. I think like we'll change up the color palette a little bit, maybe put in
Yes.
like different real life environments versus different like felt or
Now,
paper environments, like replace things, you know, like a
yeah.
real tree
And
in one, but the tree was felt for like the pug or something like that.
and on top of that, I'll tell you, the enemies will probably change in your approach to them. When I had a Pomeranian, he got fucked up by two cats. They boxed him out. They did a quick 1-2, 1-2, and he was out of there. My dog now, no cat wants to mess with
Yeah.
at all, ever. They see it and they do the whole back raised up and then they run away.
Yeah, maybe like
So
certain enemy types will look bigger depending on what dog
mhm.
you were playing as. Like maybe small creatures like rats will look bigger to like big dogs than small dogs. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
And like each dog will have like a weakness and like a strength and stuff like that.
I'm liking this. I am
Oh, going
liking
back to
this.
music, I want it to be just crazy, just like weird, and maybe have a couple dog barks in there as
So
like percussion music.
there are CDs released where it's jingle bells with only dog barks.
I don't want that.
No, I don't want that either, but we can work dog barks into music.
Yeah.
And if there's anybody who's a big fan of Bob's Burgers, they know damn well that Gene does it all the time
That's true. That's true.
with his keyboard.
But I mean, I also see like Katamari all over this soundtrack.
Oh, I can see that too. All right. And before we go into how much you're willing to pay, I want dogs from all over the world. That way, everybody's got their dog, from Shiba Inu to Akita to the German Shepherd to who you got the Bernese Mountain Dog, dogs all over the place.
I want
cattle dogs.
the Jolo Picola, whatever it's called. It's a dog that I really want. It's a
Okay.
Mexican hairless dog.
We'll put that in just for you, Jay.
Exactly. We
So
need
how
it in there
much
just for me.
are you willing to pay for this?
Probably.
This seems like a $29.99 joint.
I was thinking $19.99. Like make it budget, looks crazy,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it just blows up over Steam or something.
I
And Switch.
like it. And Switch. I'm skipping here. Well, Jay, let's get your timer out because we're gonna name this game. This is about gonna be the easiest one.
You
So
think
tell
so?
me when you start it. Yeah.
I have a good argument against yours. We'll see. Go.
Got dog walk.
Runaway dog.
Why runaway dog? It's not running away. You're walking it.
I guess so. Dog walk. 7.46 seconds.
Okay. So Dog Walk is a game where it's a 2D beat 'em up where you play as a dog being walked and you have to avoid different dangers, fight, go through the world of a dog, and it has roguelike elements where you also get power-ups, as well as you can meet new friends along the way and journey with them in Dog Walk. I always skip a segment, and I don't want to skip it this time. So I don't know where I go here. I know that we have a game here, Jay. Would this be a game you'd want to play, and is it fun?
Yes. I would love this game. It sounds like a game that would be a really fun platinum. I normally don't like side-scrolling games, but this seems more in the terms of the side-scrolling games I do like, kind of more like Mega Man and like the Starship shooter ones where it's like Galaga and like that type of stuff. I like those kind of side-scrolling games, you know what I mean? So like Nier Automata also would fit in that category.
Absolutely.
And those type of games I like. So I guess I like bullet hells is what I'm saying.
Yes.
I don't know if that's a real true statement because I don't like the crazy one, like the crazy ones. I'm not a fan of, but Binding of Isaac, even I like and stuff like that.
Yeah, I had something I wanted to talk about with that, but it's not relevant to anything. It's just with bullet hells, It makes me go into the zone more. You know that level of
Hmm.
focus where everything starts slowing down?
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. But how about you, Alex? Would this be a game you like to play?
Uh Hell yeah. I'd be unlocking all types of dogs, and with your art on top of that where it's vibrant, it's bright. I get to see I get to unlock all the breeds. I get to see the worlds through them. I get to chuckle. I get to honestly really relate, especially if we make some of the owners just as dumb as possible. It'll be hilarious. Like, I wouldn't mind putting myself in there where there's a dude with headphones on, and every time the dog pulls too much, he's like, nope, all right, slow down. Yep. Although I never tug, and no dogs will be harmed in the making of this game. Now that we got a complete game, what game studio would you choose to make Dog Walk the best?
The first one I got for you, I teased it earlier. Namco or Bandai Namco or Now Production. I don't know, one of those. The people behind, I guess, just the team behind Katamari, the whole series.
Gotcha.
Crazy, it's just crazy stuff. I mean, and that's what this game, I think, in my mind, is just craziness, and that's what I want out of this.
So, going off the back of that, I would want House, the developers behind Untitled Goose Game, to make this one. Because when I picture the owners, I picture them being almost they're not the focus. So it's almost like a Charlie Brown-esque type of adult behind that dog. And I thought they would do really well with making a dog's world. It's a bit more innocent, it's a bit more light, more vibrant, you know.
Yeah. I do have one more. I'm trying to figure out the developer's name, but it's hard to find them because they are very indie.
Do you want me to throw another one?
Yeah, do it.
All right, let's do Ben Esposito behind Donut County.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I think the vibe there, the different way it all turns out, and the art would again lend really well. I'm looking for games with similar vibes, games that evoke the same kind of emotion.
Okay, I'm getting closer and closer to finding it, but I can't. So you know what? I'm just gonna say this dude's name. I would give it to, oh God, Michael Frauenhofer.
You did it.
Huh?
I said you did it.
Yeah. He is a guy who created two games, Demon Chick, which I haven't played, but I have played One Way Trip, which was a crazy visual novel game with a crazy art style and even a crazier soundtrack. And I think they would do something interesting with this.
It sounds like they would definitely be aligned with the core morals or the mission statement of what we'd want this game to be.
Yeah. Oh, and I also want to say Adult Swim games.
They'd be pretty good too.
In the vein of like Robot Unicorn Attack, and you know what I mean?
I do remember. Now that song's stuck in my head from Robot Unicorn Attack. Damn you. And with that, our 126th IP has gone gold. We hope you look forward to this experience that we'll probably release, I'm sure. You can write to @poundgames@gmail.com if you have anything to patch into the game we created today. Also, give us feedback. We are still learning how to make this show better, and your feedback really helps. We have a Patreon. If you'd like to back our ideas, please head over to patreon.com/wearenotgamedevs. Patrons receive episodes 2 days early and an extra podcast at the beginning, which you caught the tail end of our conversation at the beginning of this episode. That's patreon.com/wearenotgamedevs. If you liked our show, why not subscribe and give us all the stars on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store, Spotify, YouTube, and more. And if they ask for a review, instead of reviewing our show, become your inner game critic and review Dog Walk. the video game we just created. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back next Friday with another new IP. Again, my name is AG.
And I'm JE.
Thank you, and please remember that we are not game devs. Doesn't it flow?
I guess so, but that is a callback. I think that was on a different podcast.
It was in the past, but not too far. And also, we rhyme twice. This is AG, and I'm JE. Doesn't this flow? I guess so. Boom. And also, the reason I said that this game will probably be released is usually my animal games, like my bee game, my mosquito game, they get made. They get made. I'm not saying that people take my ideas. I just think people want to walk dogs. Pay me.